Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I am your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I am your co-host, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern who blew the budget at Hot Topic, codename Legion Cub.
That's an impressive thing to do when you get to be our age. It's hard. It's if I go into a hot topic now, it's hard for me to even know what anything is.
I didn't know they were still around.
Nightmare Before Christmas, though, is still extremely popular.
Yes, and that's fine.
That's an evergreen property.
It should be chock full of just Nightmare Before Christmas and Baroness costumes, as you were stating earlier on this fine World Goth Day. All right. So you can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast and on Twitter at G.I. Joe Audible. Instagram is the best place to interact because every time we're going to be doing a live stream, I will put up a sound off post where you can comment with what you want us to talk about. So Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. I've got new glasses and they're kind of throwing me off tonight. I keep trying to find the right thing and I think I've finally done it, but now I feel like Run from Run DMC. They're like gigantic. News. We've got a big show tonight. I don't know what we're going to cover. I don't know what we're going to cut. Some of the stuff is possibly going to end up happening at Joe Fest, which, by the way, the Joe Fest hats, the final version, the final product is here. This is the No Sleep Till Augusta Joe Fest tour hat that will only be available at Joe Fest. You can buy them directly from us in person. We will also have the Joe Fest tour shirts, which I'm going to pick up the final versions of those tomorrow from Workhorse Printing here in Atlanta. Locally printed. And then if you want to, you can go online to our TeePublic store and get yourself a No Sleep Till Augusta shirt that will be available through Joe Fest. And then after that, we're going to tweak the design to be just a little bit different. So you're only going to be able to get this shirt through Joe Fest, but you can order it online. You don't have to be at Joe Fest to get it. All right. What else is going on? Needless Things YouTube channel. You are watching us live on the Needless Things YouTube channel, and we've got some folks in the chat. Actually, so the first comment that I saw here, not the first comment that was made, the first one I saw, Kevin Riddle, ready for a great show. Thanks for the pressure, Kevin. We really need it.
Yeah.
Mandalorian Jedi. All right. Matthew Comstock here, but also cooking and doing laundry. Clearly, I don't have my priorities straight tonight. No. Multitasking is the that's it. That's all you can do now. I have been multitasking literally all day from the time I woke up this morning until I'm still multitasking right now. All right, Craig Dukas. Hey everyone, what's up, Craig? We are live indeed. Hope all you animals are going to Joe Fest. We are. We're going to be talking a lot about Joe Fest tonight, actually, because we've got some news about Joe Fest. We've got a little Joe Fest something special scheduled to happen, and then later on in Sound Off, we've got a good Joe Fest question. So lots of Joe Fest talk. Rich Murphy, hey gents, and Kevin Riddle, yes sir. Looking forward to this year's fest. Yeah, we all are. It's going to be great. So, as I said, Needless Things YouTube channel. Last week, I posted reviews of Wave 2 of the Super 7 Ultimates. And boy, lots of comments on those. And that's all I'm going to say. That's not all I'm going to say. I understand the discrepancy between the way Duke was produced and the way Flint and Lady J were produced is pretty rough. But that does not mean to me. Now, have you guys, Noel and Kristian, have you guys seen like images of these? Have you seen the comparisons?
No, I've only seen the thumbnails that you posted to Instagram. I've had a very busy week, so I'm very behind.
So Flint and Lady J, their skin is not painted. They have kind of a standard flesh tone plastic, whereas Duke's skin was painted. My problem is not that those two aren't painted. It's the difference in the way the figures were produced is not okay. To me, Flint and Lady J, when I look at the portraits, that's what Sunbow looks like. So when I look at Duke, that's like better than what Sunbow looked like, which is nice. It would be great if they were all better than what Sunbow looked like. But whatever the case, they all need to be the same. So if you want to check those reviews out, go check them out. And you guys know me, I don't just dump on anything. I will point out problems that I see, that I perceive as problems. But I don't do angry face in the thumbnail. I hate this toy. Let's poop on Super 7. Like I don't do that stuff. That's not fun to me.
But Dave, that's how you get clicks.
Well, I know it is how you get clicks. And actually,
if you poop on someone, you're getting more than clicks.
Yeah, I will be unmonetized if I do that. I am going to be conducting a little experiment sometime soon. We'll see how that goes. An experiment in hate, if you will. Sadly, I'm pretty sure I know what the outcome is going to be. So this week, tomorrow, my review of the Mezco 112 Collective Destro goes up. Very excited for everybody to see that one. And then Thursday, my review of the Retro Zartan goes up. So lots of Joe stuff, and then other toy lines and whatever sprinkled in there in between, because I can't just do Joe. Schedule-wise, the audio version of this episode will be available this Friday wherever you get your podcasts. Our next audio episode will be next Friday, also wherever you get your podcasts. And we are doing some segments, one of which is a review. Kristian, tell us what we're reviewing next week.
We are reviewing the Vines of Evil.
And that if you guys don't know how we do this show, we do our live stream 8 p.m. right now. And then once we're done with this, we'll record the segment episode. So we knock everything out in one night. And I watched Vines of Evil earlier today. Well, rewatched. It's the 20th time. I don't even know how many times I've watched that. That episode has everything.
It's everything.
It really is.
Gosh, it's insanity. We'll talk about that next week.
Yes.
Our next live stream is going to be on June the 5th, the Monday before Joe Fest. And I've got a couple of ideas. We've got some stuff to talk about for that. Cobra Convergence is coming up. We have a couple of announcements related to that. Noel, do you want to tell us about Cobra Convergence?
Sure. So Cobra Convergence, the brainchild of one Hooded Cobra Commander 788, where several collaborators got together and put together some videos that all kind of had a central theme. And of course, all about G.I. Joe. But it's been expanding in the last few years. So not only is it just YouTubers, there's also podcasters involved as well. And last year we got the chance to do it for the first time with our review of Cobrathon. And this year we have something extra special planned again to get to participate the second year in a row.
I got to stop you right there and just give one of these Matthew Comstock jumping into the super chat.
Super chat.
Holy cow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Anybody who contributes, just know that it goes to merch, it goes to hosting, anything that you put into that super chat goes into the show. Thank you so much. And everybody who's just here, just thank you for being here. That alone is fantastic.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
Ring that bell.
Needless things. Yeah, ring a bell. do all the things. Boil and Pop. What's up, Boil and Pop? Good to see you in here. We're gonna talk about you later on. You got a good sound off in there for us. Okay. So Hooded Cobra Commander 788 is going to be our guest on the June 19th live stream, which is on a Monday. And then our Cobra Convergence episode is going to be on Sunday, July the 16th. And that will be a live stream. And we're sharing that day with Action Robot Punch, who I've kind of become obsessed with on YouTube. I just watched another video of him. He did a G.I. Joe like drop ship. He altered a Sigma 6 vehicle, like cut out the cockpit, put in new seats, repainted it, put a magnet system on the bottom, so it's a drop ship 3 3/4 inch scale that works with one of the more modern, the 4-seater Vamp that came out. So it like comes down, picks it up, carries a full loadout of like 5 figures, and it looks fantastic. So check out Action Robot Punch on YouTube, doing some really, really cool stuff. And he's very, very humble dude. He's not some of us have a little bit of an ego about some of the things that we do. This guy is very straightforward and just like, so, I kind of thought I'd just cut this away, see how this worked. Like, he's not precious about his craft at all. It's very, I really like this guy's channel. Okay, so last time we had Kristian, you did kind of a big recap of Lenny and Emily making some appearances on some different shows, and because I kind of shoved you to the front, we went out of order. We didn't credit who they appear, because they're not appearing on our show. I'll tell you that much. We do not have those kinds of ends yet. So it was the Full Force podcast, and then do you remember what the other one was?
Unfortunately, I do not, and I don't have my notes from last week. Give me a second, and
okay, sure. We'll
I
keep
can
going, and
find
we'll
it.
come back around to that. But obviously, Full Force was one of them. Like, if there's Joe News, that's where it's coming from. And we'll credit the other one in just a minute here. In the meantime, I do want to mention the loss of Ray Stevenson, who did, I think, an unimpeachable job as Firefly. Like, he was one of my favorite parts of, say what you will about the Joe live action movies, but I thought he was awesome in that. And I also think he's the best Punisher that we've had on screen. Mm-hmm. I love Punisher Warzone. And he was, when I look, and I like Thomas Jane's portrayal. I like the Netflix, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Like, I like those. But when he showed up on screen, I was like, okay, this is my Frank Castle. This guy gets it. So condolences to the family and friends of Ray Stevenson and coworkers and whoever else. Very, very talented dude. One of those big gruff dudes that Hollywood doesn't always use to their best.
Well, except that, I mean, I'd forgotten of how many things he's in, and even the upcoming Ahsoka show he's going to be in. So just one of those character actors that has just, you've seen him 100 times, you just may not have ever remembered his name. But I mean, he definitely stuck out for me as one of the best parts of G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Okay.
Real quickly.
Yes.
It is a toy kind of mood.
There you go. So Full Force podcast and a toy kind of mood. They get the shout out for the great interviews that they did with Lenny and Emily a couple of weeks ago. So Joe Fest news. You guys, are you excited for Joe Fest?
Very.
Yes.
Are you totally prepared for Joe Fest and have everything done that we need to get done?
No. Why would you ask that question?
What?
How
You're like an abusive father over here.
Come on. So we can announce two things for certain: time and place for one of them. We will be presenting the Big Joe Game Show Friday night at Joe Fest. The room is called Lamar C. And if you don't know, I have been producing game shows for conventions for almost a decade now. I've done lots of different kinds of pop culture based game shows. And when I say game show, I don't mean we're going to be sitting at a table reading out trivia questions like we did last year. I mean a game show with a full video screen, with props, with physical challenges, with this is a production, and I'm very, very excited. This is the first time ever we will be producing the Big Joe Game Show. Normally we do something called the Big Damn Game Show, which is a wider variety of pop culture topics, but my intent was always to be able to focus it down to make it completely family friendly if needed, which this will be. And completely G.I. Joe focused. It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited. We've got it's the schedule, the production, everything. We know exactly what we're doing. We've just got a few finishing touches to put on some props and whatnot, and we're going to be good to go. So that is 8 p.m. at Joe Fest in Lamar C for the first time ever, the Big Joe Game Show. We need contestants, so show up. There'll be fabulous prizes. And speaking of fabulous, it looks like we've got a special guest waiting to join us. Let me see who we've got here. ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Joe Fest, none other than Ed Schumacher, the father of Joe Fest, the man who brings us so much joy live and in person every year. Ed, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
We're doing fantastic. We are live, pal, and we were just talking about the Big Joe Game Show at Joe Fest. Thank you so much for stopping by. Do you want to talk a little bit? What I'd like to hear first, actually, is how in the world did you make the insane decision to start doing a GI Joe convention every year?
Yeah, insane, especially when you're like 3 weeks out and just have so much to do and have a day job on top of it. You know what I mean?
I do. Believe me.
Yeah. So, it all started when the last JoeCon happened in Chattanooga, I believe it was, and they had that last panel, and I was the last row in the panel there. And they were announcing that this was the last one and blah, 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 and, no more. And, and kind of bittersweet, I guess, because I had only been to two, including that one. Just found out about the whole community like 3 years earlier. So what really drove Joe Fest was after that panel was over with. And, some of these people I've met over the years online or the two JoeCons I went to, there was the word I keep using over the last 6 years is camaraderie. And they were all saying goodbye to each other. And it just kind of, it bothered me. It bothered me for about 6 months. Decided to give it a whirl, doing a little one. The little one exploded. Did the second year. The venue asked us not to come back because we had too many people. And hence, here we are, the 6th year and still growing. But it's never been about money. It's never been about anything like that. It was more just, it's a get together is what I term it as each year. Everybody gets to hang out, 3, 4, now it's getting to be 4 or 5 days for a lot of people. It's just, it takes on its own thing. Buying toys is great. You can buy toys at just about any local show you go to. But having people come from all over the world and this is their destination each year, that's what does it. That's what drives it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And that's really, I think that's what's so special about what you've created here is, for us who kind of really discovered Joe in the 80s, and the camaraderie was such a big part of it, not just playing with your friends, but watching the cartoon, reading the comic, and the fact that it's the Joe team. And we get to go to Augusta every year and be part of this huge Joe team where some people got into it back in the 60s. Some people got into it in the 80s. There's, now they're younger people who started in 90s, late 90s, right when it was dying. And then even younger than that. It's just this amazing spectrum of fans that the core of it is that Joe brings people together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ed brings people together.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I do, I guess, but
you do.
I'm not that type of person that there's no pats on the back, nothing like that. It's more that I just do it because for the fun of it, really. I mean, we had a meeting with the hotel today, and you do one about 30 days out, which we're a little bit closer, but they were asking me, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why not? It's not about driving up the cost, it's more about doing it for fun. And they just look at me like you're insane, but I try to keep everything as cheap as I can. Cause I want families to come. I want it to be a destination each year for people. And golly, it costs enough to get here as it is. to raise the prices even more, it's silly to me. So, but maybe I'm old school that way. I'm just not in it for that, so I want to keep it going just for the fun of it. I love doing it.
Well, and those are some of the key things about Joe Fest. In the years that I've been there, it has felt like this is for everybody. It's very accessible. It's very open and friendly. We were talking about the Big Joe Game Show, and that it is family friendly. It's all ages. It's GI Joe focused, and the convention itself also very family friendly. It's such an open community and such a great place just to be. And yeah, you can buy lots of toys or whatever else there.
Sure. Comics,
but just being there is magic.
Yeah, because the majority of our sales for tickets are the 3-day types. And that tells me that people just want to come and hang out. That's what the driving force is. You got the panels going on, you get the game show, we got karaoke, we got all different nighttime activities. It's more something to do all weekend than it is just necessarily just come and spend every dime you have too.
Well, I remember talking to you about that a few years ago when you first did it, because you was a 1-day convention, and I was like, this was great, but this would be fantastic if you could expand it into 2. And obviously the crowd was all into that idea because you said it's a destination now. People come and they spend several days there. So it was great to see something. And you had to test the waters that 1 day before, but it really turned out to be a great multi-day convention.
Yeah. Sunday, it gets to be slow, but it's usually not towards the afternoon, and by then people are already hitting, they're getting their plane to go back to where, or getting in the car. But
you're also finding deals on Sunday, which is something that I think a lot of people really enjoy doing.
Yep. But we were going with the hotel today, going over things, and we've had more Thursday night sales for hotel rooms than ever before. So it's telling me that people are getting there earlier. They want to hang out more. They want to get in there Friday night to find the best thing they can find. By doing Friday night, it's made it to where you can some people, especially locally, that they can come in if they work a day job and they can't get the weekend off or whatever. It's got different hours, but for people vacationing, they're staying there tonight. They could shop late, and then there's after hour activities, the trading nights going on. It's just nonstop, it's nonstop. So 3 days is really what it's become. And some people have asked for 4 at this point, but I don't know. That's pushing the limit,
So this year's Joe Fest, June 9th through the 11th at the Marriott Augusta Convention Center. This is in a convention center, very large space, plenty of room for different activities to hang out, to have game shows or whatever else. Very, very impressive. And you're right. It is now a destination, a weekend long kind of thing. Over the course of the weekend this year, are there any specific things that kind of jump out to you as you're really excited about this or that or whatever else may be going on? What are some highlights of 2023 for you?
Well, we do the Collectors Hall of Fame each year. We have inductees for that, and don't ask me to list right now because I don't have it in front of me, but we usually put a handful of people in there each year, so that's always a highlight. That's where collectors get rewarded for not necessarily their names that are not like the mainstay in the community. They're not the Larry Hammers and type of names, but it's more like you and me who get recognition, and I really enjoy doing that. We have the karaoke. We're going to be doing a cosplay competition like we always do. That's always a lot of fun. This year we have a Stinger coming, a full-size Jeep coming, and with cosplay, people love, the backdrop and whatnot. The Finest are bringing a whole setup this year. They've got the it's like the Watchtower, I believe is what they're doing. They've got a ferret coming. And then outside we have military vehicles returning. That seems people really love that the last couple of years. So you got that going on, and you got your game show. We have 2 nights of trading night. And then we also have the karaoke for the first time, plus along with bingo going on. So there's could be something for every age group, something for everybody. It's just trying to get it all in, and then you have your panels and Operation Recall for Carson's going to be highlighted. The GI Joe fan club's going to be doing one. It's going to be nonstop all weekend. So it's like, are you downstairs buying or are you upstairs participating in all that, so there's just so much going on. And of course we have food and all set up outside for people to sit at. And upstairs we also have, this year we have tables and chairs so people go up there and sit down and relax for a couple of minutes. So I don't know. It just grows more and more each year. And it's like we're never happy doing what we did. You know what I'm saying? We want to do something new each year. So heck, we're already working on next year already. So yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Always looking for the next exciting thing, always looking to make it better and better. And that's all planning all the time. Right? That's it.
Yeah. Next year is going to be a complete different thing going on. Joe Fest is going to stay the same. But we're going to be adding to Joe Fest on another level. So it's going to be even more family friendly, where mom and dad per se are into GI Joe. They've been around a long time, but the kids are into something different nowadays besides the GI Joe, and there's going to be more for them to do next year.
Oh, that's a great call.
Yeah, so we're trying to bring in, because dad wants to go to the Joe Fest and the kids don't want to sit in a hotel room sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to get dad here, and he's happy to bring even more of their families. So we're working on that right now. So that's next.
We'll stay in touch and stay on top of that. That is awesome. For everybody listening, everybody watching, check out joefestusa.com for all the details about the show. You can get your tickets there. The dates are there. You can book your rooms there. And Ed, we couldn't be more excited to be part of Joe Fest. It's a high point of the year for all of us, and we can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks, man.
Yeah. And then, let me drop in about Sergeant Slaughter and Zorana too coming.
Oh yeah, please do.
For the first time, Zorana, she appeared at a local show up there in upstate New York for the first time, and she's jumping on board with us. So that, I believe that's could be a huge hit. I went out on the weekend and bought a whole bunch of paint markers to autograph in the pink color that she is with the hair. So those classified boxes will look really good signed. So
yes.
And Sergeant Slaughter, he's going to do his thing. He's the driving force right there, of course. So, but if you ever get a chance to meet him, especially after the show, he hangs out the whole show. He hangs out at the bar, the restaurant, just talking with people. So that's a part of it that maybe the normal convention goer doesn't get unless they're staying there. But do check him out in the evening, because he does get around, and he's really, really personable, really friendly. So
yeah, he was the way back in the late 90s. He was one of the first famous people that I ever met. And to this day, still one of the nicest people, nicest celebrity types you could possibly encounter. Amazing guy.
I don't think he'll ever change. He really loves it. And we were just told by his agent that A&E will be there doing a video recording for they're doing a biography on him.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, so there'll be cameras around, so get your smiles on.
Yeah, everybody be ready for that.
Yeah.
Well, anything else before we wrap it up?
No, next couple of weeks we're going to announce that we've still got some artists to announce. We going to announce the exclusives. We just secured the t-shirt order this year. The shirt order is going to knock you out. Every year they sell out quickly, and each year we keep upping it and they keep selling. So keep a lookout for that. And we're just trying to keep the announcements going closer to the show this year as compared to years past. Sometimes I believe I did it a little too early, but with stronger sales even this year, I think we're doing it better. So just trying to get everybody here. That's all. So
keep that momentum going.
Yeah, I appreciate your help on everything, Dave. I do. So
oh man, it's a delight. We're so happy to be part of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make sure I stop in and see the game show. You know, I'm usually all around, running around the place with my head cut off, but we have more volunteers this year, so that should free up some time. You know,
just a little bit. If you just pop in for a few minutes, we'll have some good stuff going.
We'll keep you entertained.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna record that at all, or?
We're working on it. It's tough to get videographers, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's to find somebody who you know is going to show up, going to be there, going to do a decent. I don't need a great job. I need a decent job, and it's even that is
something.
tough.
Yeah, no, I've learned that over the past couple of years. It's, you got a lot of people say they want to help, and then when it comes out, it's a lot of them prefer to just be at the show, not doing, you know what I mean? Which I get. It's a vacation, so yeah. Well, if I can help in any way, let me know.
Absolutely. Well, Ed, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you, and like I said, I can't wait to see you in just a couple of weeks here, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, Ed.
Bye.
All right. Ed Schumacher, the man behind Joe Fest, who brings us tons and tons of joy every single year. Like I said, joefestusa.com for all the details. But we have some more show to do, guys. Are you ready to do some more show?
Are we?
We've got
There's a show.
Plenty of time left. And actually, I'm gonna get myself another summer shandy here. Ooh, what happened to our comments? Our comments went away.
I see.
Oh, there they are. Woo. Okay, what's been going on? This is my Kevin Reynolds' 4th Joe Fest. David Sharp, welcome to the show, David. Firefly, this Joe Fest will be my first Joe convention since the DeSimone shows ended in Chicago in the 2000s. Noel, what are the DeSimone shows?
I don't know. What are they? Because this is news to me.
Okay, Firefly, you're gonna have to give us some follow up on that, because I don't know. Noel, Kristian,
no.
I hate to zip by you on that stuff, but Noel is usually our encyclopedia of real world Joe goings on.
Right.
Because I don't know anything. All right, yeah, Firefly, enlighten us. Tell us about these DeSimone shows. Christmas Ape. I was so starstruck when I first met Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, he's a real life Joe. He was real cool. He's awesome, and he'll put you in the Cobra Clutch. It's great.
Well, and real quickly, shout out to Craig Dukas, because I don't know if it didn't pop up on your screen, but he did give us a super chat. R.I.P. Ray Stevenson. You will be missed. So,
thank you, Craig. That is awesome. And speaking of, check out Shop Slickalicious on Instagram. Is designed this. We've got some other stuff going on. We were very lucky to be partnered with such a talented individual. Shop, or rather, Slickalicious is kind of the name. Then Shop Slickalicious, because you want to go shop there and buy hundreds of different designs, not just G.I. Joe, all kinds of pop culture stuff. All right. So Friday night, 8 p.m., Lamar C, Big Joe Game Show. Saturday morning. Who here was at Joe Fest last year? Yeah, we were.
Well, two of us were.
Yeah,
two of us
not
were.
me.
So this year we are returning to Saturday morning to officially kick off Joe Fest with a very special live Audible Interlude Joe Fest kickoff panel. It will be, you know us, we try to keep things very interactive. We try to do it here, but when we're in front of a live audience, you guys are going to be doing almost as much work as we are. So show up for that kickoff panel. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a lot to talk about. So that is the second thing we can officially announce. We may have more announcements between now and Joe Fest. We may not. We're kind of waiting on a couple of things to come through. But like I said, Joe Fest hats available at the show. And then the Joe Fest tour shirt, which is the same design, but on a shirt instead of a hat. It's like a hat for your body. We'll have those as well. Let's see, fellas. What do we got here? We've got so much news. What do we want to talk about? Let's talk about from Silver Optimus on his tank, who I think is one of the mods, maybe. I'm not positive. Leaker Daniel Richtman shared on his Patreon that a Transformers G.I. Joe movie is in development. I've heard nothing else about this. I'm not subscribed to Daniel Richtman's Patreon, so I have no more information. This sounds like something we could probably speculate on when we've got a little bit more time. But here's my 2 cents on it. Well, I've been running my mouth for 30 minutes now. Kristian, why don't you tell us what you think of the possibility of a Joe Transformers crossover movie?
I think that sounds very feasible as far as something being in the pre-planning stages, because Transformers is the most successful movie franchise the Hasbro Toyverse has. So what better way to do it? But by that same token, I'll believe it when I finally see a trailer, because movies can languish in pre-production
There's no
for
telling.
years.
Noel, what about you? You guys are both way bigger Transformers guys than I am. So I'm curious to know what you think of Joe's potential impact on Transformers.
I mean, if you're going to do it, and I mentioned, when we had a question a couple weeks ago, I would have introduced the Joes in the very first Transformers movie, because I just would have had the Nest agents be Joes, or whatever they were called in that first movie. They've made I guess it's the 7th Transformers movie coming out. All of them are terrible except for Bumblebee, in my opinion, but they make a lot of money. Yeah. And the G.I. Joe movies did not make a lot of money. I mean, they did okay. At least the first two did. Snake Eyes did not. So I think that on their own, they clearly aren't hitting the kind of market we want. But I mean, you introduce them with Transformers, and I've said this a lot of times. Hasbro should really be using those brands to lift up their other brands.
Retroverse,
right? And clearly, we know which one is the big cash cow of all of those. So hey, use it as your tent pole, and just let the others kind of lean on it. And I guarantee you could introduce Mask. You could do one of these crossover, themes. And I'm not saying you're going to do Marvel Cinematic Universe type numbers, but you could probably have a few successful franchises split off of that one.
I would say, my gosh, Hasbro, let everything ride the Transformers coattails, but the tuxedo wearing robot is in a different toy line. Okay, so we'll talk more about that sometime in the future. Maybe at Joe Fest. That might be a lively audience participation topic right there. Okay, Entertainment Earth has G.I. Joe drops listed for June 14th and June 21st, which suggests that the next Hasbro Pulse G.I. Joe panel, or Yojo June panel, is going to be sometime around then, potentially right after Joe Fest. Potentially, no, I can't say that. But yeah, more Joe stuff. I just kind of still want the stuff we've got pre-ordered. before. I don't want to end up with another $1,000 of pre-orders just sitting for a year. But it's exciting. It's exciting to know that some kind of news is coming, and it is Yojo June. So that's just a part of things now. June. Never in my life have I been excited about June before. This is only a recent development. This is something that popped up right before we went on the air. Brandon Jerwa is a senior narrative designer on the G.I. Joe Snake Eyes game. Did you guys see this? So Brandon Jerwa in the early 2000s was a big part of the G.I. Joe comics. He loves G.I. Joe. And he has, since he left G.I. Joe comics, has been working on video games as kind of a story supervisor in a lot of ways. He's worked on a lot of different things, a lot of very heavily pop culture big things. And he has been brought on to work on this game. And there is a great interview with him about what he's doing for this game. Atomic Arcade has a pretty cool interview about what he's been doing for the last 15 or so years and how he got brought back into working on G.I. Joe. And it definitely got me a lot more excited about this game. Everybody should check this interview out. But he said that he thinks everybody's going to be really surprised by the parts of G.I. Joe that are being drawn from and how much service is being done. He didn't quite say fan service, but I really got the impression that they're going into this game with the intent of making long-term Joe fans pretty happy. So I'm a little more excited about this than I was before. That's some good news. All right, 8:42. Oh, you guys, I think we need to hang on. Well, we've got one thing we got to talk about. Let's bring up the old screen share. This always goes off without a hitch. Let's see here. Okay. So we got another set of communiques, and I actually thought that this one had come in before our last live stream, but this came in on May the 12th. So we didn't talk about Agent Venus, who is at the Hasbro headquarters. I'm not going to read this whole thing because you can find it all over Instagram and everywhere else. But it's basically talking about a Cobra agent spying on HasLab headquarters and reporting back that the Hasbro team is meeting with creators and with General Hawk, who is in the bottom right corner of this monitor, which I think is fantastic. We've got like a real Roger Rabbit situation going on here. There's the G.I. Joe movie we need, where all of the Joes are animated and the rest of the world is real. I shouldn't even have spoken that into possibility, because now that's what we're going to get, and that's not going to make anybody happy. But what's interesting, the bottom right corner of the picture, we've got just straight up says Zartan. So Zartan is our agent spying on the Hasbro team. So this essentially confirms that a G.I. Joe Hasbro Pulse or a HasLab offering is underway to counteract the hiss. And then we got on the 19th, we got another series of drops. Incoming transmission from General Clayton Abernathy to G.I. Joe High Command, which I found the use of G.I. Joe High Command to be a little weird. Because typically that's how Cobra's leadership is referred to. I don't think it means anything. I think it's just they use odd verbiage on that. But this, again, just kind of reinforces that they are doing something with significant counter-strike capabilities against a hiss, which we've talked a lot about, a lot of different things over the, really since the hiss launched, what it could be. And then the final slide, we have technical data, potential recruits, and design prototype 24. And I didn't. Oh, what a dummy! I forgot to save the Dragonfly picture. So everybody probably knows this by now, but the Dragonfly has a decal just under the rotors with a 24 on it, which is the most obvious numeric reference to a GI Joe vehicle that I could find. And we have talked about the Dragonfly a lot on the show as a possibility. Potential recruits. We know,
but it's right. Potential recruits in 24.
I thought Jack Bauer was going to show up.
Right. I thought we're getting Kiefer Sutherland joining G.I. Joe.
Well, it says design prototype. And if you remember when John Cena was 24 years old, he was referred to as prototype. So, I mean, this could be a John Cena, which we have actually also talked about before.
You see, I was also thinking this could relate to what the Canadians call a case of beer, a 2-4. So are there any good Canadian Joes that we could be talking about here?
I mean, I'm sure there are, but I can't think of them. But I mean, if it was a John Cena figure, that really wouldn't be enough for a HasLab. So what I'm hoping for is a gigantic John Cena robot, kind of along the lines of Galactus. $500, just a giant. Okay, we should stop.
With his his new G.I. Joe gear he wore at WrestleMania.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Anyway, I mean, with all of this, my money's on Dragonfly. How do you guys feel looking at all this?
I mean, it looks like that's the most obvious route, especially once I saw that picture. And yeah.
It looks the most obvious, and that's why I'm going in the opposite direction, and I think.
Well, I think they were throwing us,
surprised.
There were clues last time though that also were like, the most obvious thing here is Snowcat. So
that's true.
This is something that most obvious. So maybe all this is just
subterfuge
down real odd rabbit holes. Yeah,
subterfuge, centrifuge. All right. We'll see. We'll find out very soon. I mean, I think within a month we'll probably know what it's going to be.
During Yojo June, I'm guessing.
All right, so we got to do a follow-up here. Rachel Salinas, the DeSimone shows were Joe convention shows before Fun Publications got the official stamp from Hasbro. Firefly, James DeSimone wrote the 1993 and 1994 add-on for the official guide to collecting and completing G.I. Joe, and he ran several shows from the 90s on through 2005-ish in the Chicago area. They were a hotel near Rosemont. Mandalorian Jedi. I would love to see a Transformers G.I. Joe movie. I wonder if they're going to restart the Joe story to bring it into Transformers. I do think you got to do a fresh start, at least for the Joes, if you're going to do that. Craig Dukas, I totally agree with Noel. Would be awesome to be waiting for after credit scene that introduces. Oh man, what just happened? There we go. The next franchise to join the story. Yorktown Joe, late to the party, but glad you're still chatting. Yes, we've still got plenty to cover.
We Christmas do enjoy chatting.
We do. That's what we do here. We should have called it Audible Chatting with Kristian, Noel, and Dave.
Chattable interlude.
Chattable interlude. Chat me up. I think Christmas Ape. I think Yojo June is going to be very expensive. I think you're right. Phoenix Richardson, do you think Super 7 will address what a lot of us feel is a fail for Ultimate Wave 2? Specifically the 3 heads, lack of paint, not looking like what they advertised. Rich Murphy could be the HasLab being shipped in 2024. Yorktown Joe, glad you caught my 24 comments on IG this afternoon. Okay. So Phoenix Richardson. Yeah, we actually talked about this a little bit earlier. The problem to me is not that the heads are unpainted. The problem to me is that Duke does not match Flint and Lady J. That's the issue, and I think Super 7 has got to get that under control because it's not okay. But we'll more on that later on. We've got some other stuff we've got to talk about. All right.
I completely just realized, Yorktown Joe, you made those jokes. I hadn't even seen that sound off yet. So sorry, I wasn't stepping on your toes there with that 2-fur joke.
All right. Well, I suggested earlier that everybody should be following Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. And the reason you should is because every time we do a live stream earlier in the day, I will put up a post called Sound Off where I ask for your input as to what we should talk about. And we have got some great sound offs to talk about tonight. Noel and Kristian, have you had an opportunity to sort of dip in there and see what we got?
Clearly no, because
No.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
We're so
I've
together.
been working all day.
Well, and I didn't even do my normal screen cap of them because we've got a convention to prepare for, fellas. All right, first up we've got, who is here in the chat, Boil and Pop. Go check out Boil and Pop on Instagram. Lots of cool like kit bashing fix-ups, all kind of cool custom work. Check out Boil and Pop. My favorite subject, of course, Super 7 San Diego Comic-Con predictions. Supposedly it's going to be G.I. Joe International. I'm guessing Action Force, Ultimate exclusive repaint Cobra Commander Red Laser. I think that's a great choice.
Mm-hmm.
I had not heard that it's going to be international, but that sounds like a fantastic idea to me. However, my choice, if we're going international, you guys, I've talked about this a few times before. I want an ultimate of Cobra de Accio. Accio? Accio?
Accio?
I don't know. Cobra de Accio?
It's a soft C.
But anyway, this is, if you don't know, it is the Flash body, which they need because I would love to see a Sunbow Flash in the
maybe even
line.
2 Flashes.
Right, yeah, we need double Flash. So we go ahead and get the Flash body out of the way, and then it's got a vac metal Snake Eyes head on this black and yellow Flash body. I would love to see this figure in ultimate form. I'd love to see Super 7 just kill it with this kind of stuff. And it's perfect for an exclusive because it's not something you need, but it's something you see and you're like, oh, that's really dumb. I want it. That to me is the high water mark of exclusives. What about you guys? What kind of stuff would you be interested in seeing? Ultimates or reaction? Either one.
Honestly, the Red Laser. That's a design that I love.
Yeah, Red Laser would be great. And then we talked about we talked about Coral and we talked about Canary as being great repaints that they could do with existing molds. Yeah,
and those both fit the international description as well. Yeah, we actually did our last episode. We talked about it sort of roundabout way, talked about this a little bit. So yeah, I like that idea. G.I. Joe International is a Comic-Con exclusive. I mean, it fits the repaint thing, but it also fits the unique item that's not a must-have. Sneezy the Squid, which, by the way, where have you been? We've been doing this show for a few years now, and this is the first time you've sent us a question. Gary of the Classics track, Gary, come on, man. Okay, your GI show where you Joeify a movie. At a secret Arctic base, Dr. Mindbender is doing Cobra science on a tissue sample of Zartan, and the shape-shifting monstrosity he created escapes. Now this thing is stalking the base and must be stopped. So which Cobras are there, aside from the troopers to be eaten, and who survives, if anyone? So obviously what Gary is saying here is take the thing and put it in a Cobra base, which I like the fact that he went Cobra on this because it made the thought exercise a little bit more challenging and interesting because you don't typically think of characterizing Cobras as easily as you do G.I. Joes. Now, I have the benefit of having had all day to think about this because I was paying attention to what we were doing tonight. So just to run down, I know you guys were super busy and I was off I wasn't off, I was working all day, but it was not day job work. So I understand. So this is the casting list I came up with. Quinn just happens to be there for a supply run. So he is our stand-in for McCready. Dr. Mindbender is Blair. This one was a little tough because Knowles, the cook, he's likable. He's also a little bit of comic relief. I hate to say comic relief, but he's the personality. Like he's the guy that you're like, oh, he's fun, roller skating around. I like that guy. And Cobra, because I didn't want to use any Dreadnoks because I feel like they're kind of a cheap out for Cobras with personality. But I kind of did anyway because I went with Naugahyde as Knowles because he's kind of the comic reliefy type character in the Deke series.
Mm-hmm.
So I could sort of see him being that character here, and he could be the cook as well. Why not? Palmer, our assistant mechanic, I have Wild Weasel filling his role. Childs, who is the other survivor of the movie besides McCready, I have Destro in there as Childs because he is the guy that I think is most likely to work with Quinn and form that sort of uneasy, we're both in the middle of this bond. Like, we're not here directly working for Mindbender. We're both kind of just here for our own reasons. This one, I'm going to work this guy in wherever I can. Dr. Copper Scalpel is going to be filling that role of the doctor. And then I did also kind of cheat on a couple of these because I do feel like if we were really doing this, there would be some Televipers and Technovipers just kind of filling roles rather than having specific characters. So Fuchs and Windows, the biologist and radio operator, are just Televipers. Maybe they don't have their helmets on or whatever. And then I've got Technovipers as Bennings, the meteorologist, and Norris, the geologist. And Norris, I just want to see the Norris monster explode out of a Technoviper helmet. Like, just imagine those crab legs coming out of that helmet. Fantastic. And then we get Major Blood is going to be the base commander, Gary, who is like kind of mean, but also a little incompetent. And I think that Blood, especially like Sunbow, well, not even Sunbow Blood, really comic book Blood kind of fits that a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then finally, Clark, our dog handler, is played by the Elite Viper, the 2009 figure that came with a dog, because why not? So that's the casting I came up with. I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to put a whole lot of thought here.
I wasn't thinking of it in terms of matching to the movie, just who would I like to see Cobra-wise go against the Thing. So just off the top of my head, it's Metalhead, Crystal Ball, Voltar, and then Cesspool with some of the Toxo Vipers.
I was thinking of that Saw Viper from the that one issue of the G.I. Joe comic.
He would just handle it all.
He'd just handle it all.
Absolutely. And that's what's so fun about this kind of stuff is we all take different approaches every time we come up on anything like this. And that's realistically, Kristian, your approach is probably what would be best because you would really want to fit the Thing into an episode of G.I. Joe as opposed to fitting Joe's into the Thing.
Yeah, I think that's I have no survivors. I have no survivors in mind. If you just heard the names that I gave.
And that's fine. All right. Let's see here. Phoenix Richardson, excellent point on the Ultimates. Yeah, we need consistency. Mandalorian Jedi, I love the improvisational aspects of the podcast. It's what we do. It's why we're here. I like using the Cobras to fight the Thing because there can be a lot more casualties. So, Kristian, you were on the right track. Christmas Ape. So Destro is the Thing at the end of the movie then, because Childs totally was. Oh, wow, we're not getting into that. All right. Yorktown Joe, I may have to catch you on the replay or not because you're here. Here goes. We've kind of covered this already. Does the 24 on that? Noel totally just undermined your jokes. Does the 24 on the HasLab teaser mean A, Dragonfly per the vintage rotor sticker, B, Jack Bauer is joining the Joes, or C, 24 means twofer, which is how many Dave is ordering? First of all, Dave is not ordering 2 Dragonflies because Dave already has to figure out where his tank is going, where a Robo Skull Mark II is going, what else have I got? Dude, one dragonfly, if that's what it is.
Well, now that I see Twofer written out like this, I'm thinking of a 30 Rock joke that I just can't come up with right now. So,
oh yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Silent Interlude with Joe Fest coming up, and knowing you're big fans, how big and how good is Joe Fest? Well, Silent Interlude, it's funny you should ask. Is it worth traveling from other regions of the country to attend? Is it similar in size and scope to the old G.I. Joe Collector Club conventions? Okay, so how big and how good is Joe Fest? It is in a convention center. The dealer room is massive. I don't know how to describe how massive it is. Noel?
About yay big.
Yeah, no, that's about right.
It's it's going to be bigger than a lot of your like smaller regional cons. It's not like you're going to San Diego for Comic-Con, but it's a pretty big room. It's one of the biggest dealer rooms of any con that I attend on a regular basis.
I think you could comfortably spend open to close Saturday in the dealer room, enjoy yourself and not feel like you ran out of things to look at, and realize Sunday, oh man, you know what? I think I missed this corner in this table. I need to go back in there. Yeah. That's how big it is, if that helps at all. Is it worth traveling from other regions of the country? I've never done that, but I think probably it is, because just because how many, this is, again, like Noel has said, this is not a local, I mean, it's local to us, but it's not a local toy show. It is a Joe convention with Joe focused guests. Now, having said that, the dealer room has everything, but the guests, the programming, it's all Joe focused. So if you want a Joe convention, then this is a place to be for 3 days. And then finally, Noel, I think you're going to have to answer this one. Is it similar in size and scope to the old G.I. Joe Collectors Club conventions? I never went to one, so I don't know.
It's a different kind of con. So, I mean, it's hard to compare the two. Of course, you don't have the official representation. You don't have the Fun Pub license Hasbro exclusive toys or anything like that. From my recollection, the dealer room itself is bigger than the last couple of Joe conventions that I went to, but I didn't get to go to a lot of the Joe conventions because they were just spread out so far. I went to the one in Atlanta, and I went to the last two that were in Orlando and Chattanooga, just because that was close for me. So I didn't have as much memories of those conventions as some others did.
And Kristian, you have been to Joe conventions, right?
Yeah, I went to the first of the last ones that they had in Orlando.
Okay. And how would you, for somebody who never went to one, how would you describe that?
Gosh, I would. This is probably a terrible comparison, but I would compare it to the official Transformers convention that they had. I mean, it's not.
Well, that's not helpful at all.
I know. Like,
well, and they were also. I mean, they were run by the same people, because Fun Pub did both those shows.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's not as big as like a MegaCon here in Orlando, but it is bigger than like your local toy show. I mean, it used up, it was the year that I went, it was at the Dolphin at Disney, and it used up almost the entire convention space.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Well, a lot of that was, there were a lot of conventions. They did the contests. So they had like an entire room for customs and things like that.
Yeah, there was a big room that was just nothing but like displays of dioramas and stuff like that.
And they did things like, they did a casino night at the official Joe cons for for those years, where they were they were raising money, but it was kind of a semi-formal big event where they they had casino games and stuff like that. And that year it was the Chattanooga year. I can't remember which one it was, but it was essentially sprawled out. They had the casino sprawled out throughout the entire convention center.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. My intent is for us to continue working with Joe Fest for as long as we can. and to do everything that we can to help make Joe Fest as big, as fun, as entertaining as it can possibly be. But as it exists right now, if you're a G.I. Joe fan, I think you're going to be happy coming in and spending a couple of days at Joe Fest.
Yeah.
That's my honest opinion.
If you're a G.I. Joe collector, I mean, it's really the best place to go just to have that much available to you at one place. And, you know, you're obviously Joe prices have been escalated the last few years, but you're going to find some good deals there.
Dude, I mean, we got some steals last year.
Yeah. I mean, last year I walked out of there with how many of those Super 7 reaction figures for like $5 a piece, because they were just liquidating them, especially on Sunday.
Well, and vintage stuff too. Like we both walked out of there with just great deals. Like having watched eBay for the past few years, no way you could have gotten any of the stuff that we got online for the prices that we got at Joe Fest.
And you get to hold it in your hand first.
Yes,
so
you can
see it in person. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, Joe Fest is great. Everybody should go and get a Joe Fest tour hat, which will only be available there. All right. Last question. Mandalorian Jedi, since Lieutenant Paul Latimer, codenamed Super Trooper, serial number 981883819, is the greatest of all Joes. That's a fact. But has almost no story. What story would you write for him, and in what media is it told? What is his origin? What is his mission, his team, his signature vehicle, the explanation for his vac metal shield, and what is his ultimate fate? Mandalorian Jedi, I hate to tell you this, but we have almost run out of time tonight, but we are going to attach this question as a special project for one of our segment episodes. And we will come up with this information about Super Trooper, because you know I love Super Trooper and vac metal. So we will come back around on that one at a future time. You guys, it is time now for our last segment of the night, Joe and Tell. Do you guys have Joe and Tells for tonight?
I got a Joe and Tell.
I do not.
Okay, well that's okay, because mine is going to take up a little bit of time. So Noel,
mine won't take any time at all.
Okay,
and it actually this is just a continuation, and I just still had this over here, but if you listened a few weeks ago, we did our Guardians of the Galaxy themed, or at least inspired episode. So everything was about space, and we talked about the G.I. Joe Mercury capsule.
Yes.
So I was holding this up and showing it to Dave and Kristian while we were doing the episode, but I realized that, hey, nobody at home could actually see it.
Right.
So this is my original one. This was my uncle's from 1966. It's not in the best shape because this was heavily played with. This was one of the toys that I played with the most as a child. And as a matter of fact, I even incorporated it with my modern Joes, because I've got my G.I. Joe logo on there as well.
You could get about 50 Joes in that thing.
Oh,
right?
Oh yeah. This was a transport vehicle. So I shoved a few guys in there. I probably even shoved maybe a small vehicle in here or something as a transport. No, it's such a great toy. It's got, I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but it's got the really nice instrument panel that's all labels over there. And mine is thankfully still in really good shape. The seat belt that held your astronaut in. And obviously the real craft would not have this gigantic window.
Oh, but I love it.
It's such a nice piece that just goes all the way around. So, just wanted to be able to kind of show that off because this is still one of my favorite pieces in my collection.
It's like a space APC for 3 3/4 inch Joes. All right. So my Joe and Tell, you guys know how I am, and you know, if I find a sub $20 junk box, I am going to buy it, and we're going to find out what's in it. We don't you sigh at me, Noel. We went to GameStop the other day while we were actually waiting on something else. And they had these boxes, and it's Funko, so I know there's going to be a pop in it, which I don't care about. But there are 6 pieces, so there are 5 items besides a pop in here, and we're going to find out what they are right now. First of all, just if you throw that vintage art on anything that's less than $20, I'm going to buy it. I can't help myself. All right, let's see what we've got in here. There is, oh gosh, it's all pop oriented. Oh, actually, no, this is kind of good. So there's a Good job on the lighting, Dave. This is actually kind of useful, or part of this is useful. G.I. Joe lanyard. So that's actually kind of cool. I like that.
Hey, you got something to wear at Joe Fest.
That's right. And then a little lanyard laminate thing with Snake Eyes file card, and then a little rubber Funko Pop Snake Eyes that I will probably just hang somewhere. I'm not going to wear that around my neck. So there's that. Hey. Wow. A G.I. Joe sticker that is like weirdly off-white. Does it glow in the dark, maybe? I don't know. That's a bizarre color. Ooh, now this is always a good G.I. Joe item. I am a sucker for some dog tags. So we've got, well, pretty cool, actually. G.I. Joe dog tag. Nice, shiny, almost vac metal. You know, I love that. And that's actually like raised. That's not just printed on there. So that's pretty cool. I dig that. And some sort of postery item it's probably going to be like a photograph of a bunch of G.I. Joe pops or
That's
something.
what I was thinking.
Oh, jeez. This literally could not. Look, pops are great. They're anybody you know, you can get them a pop as a gift at Kroger or whatever you need to do. This is like, except for Noel, this is like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life.
It's adorable.
It is adorable. It is. And then finally, oh my gosh, low-hanging fruit here. A pop of Prophet Director Destro. Probably the most predictable thing they possibly could have put in this package. It is GameStop exclusive. Oh, wait, there's one more item. Maybe it's a membership card to the Funko Pop G.I. Joe fan club. As a matter of fact, although it doesn't, it doesn't actually reference Funko on there, though. It just is a G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force team. And you know what? Oh, dude. Okay, wait. This is actually maybe kind of awesome. It says G.I. Joe, a real American hero, which we don't always get, right? Mobile Strike Force team. And then on the back, statement of mission. This individual is a first-rank member of the G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force team, and from this day forward will carefully and diligently discharge all the duties of a military soldier to defend America from the enemy army of Cobra Command, an international paramilitary terrorist force which wants to conquer the world for its own selfish purpose. They must be defeated in order to preserve our American way of life. As a member of G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force team and others that may be under my command, my military obligation is to go anywhere and do anything to stop Cobra. I will become an expert in the use of... Wow, this is... Now I'm starting to feel kind of obligated here. This seems
How
like...
big is that thing? That's a lot of words for a 3-inch card.
I will become an expert in the use of ultra-modern small arms, vehicles, and weapon systems. I may use specialists trained in the latest techniques of warfare and strategy. The motto of G.I. Joe is duty, honor, courage. I will treat as top secret all tactics, plans, and directions only divulged to a fellow member of proven trust. And I will obey the orders and directions which I shall receive from my superior officer according to the rules and regulations of the Defense Department. Dude, that was intense for a big, stupid Funko figure to include like a pretty legit sounding piece of G.I. Joe material. That's how tiny they had to get all that verbiage. And I'm very thankful I have my new reading glasses, or else I never would have made it through that. So, you know what? This is awesome. I love this. When I was a kid, and I think they had something like this when I was a kid, I would have eaten this up. This is fantastic. This is going in the wallet. So between this
diplomatic immunity,
the dog tags, and the lanyard, I gotta say, this was worth it. All right. I'm exhausted now, and we've still got like 2 more things we got to do after we get off the air. Let's see. Got to check in. Yeah, I got to buy one now to get the card. That's absolutely right. Firefly, I will use Funko Pops to anchor my night landing on Cobra Island so it doesn't blow away in the wind. All right. You guys, thank you, everybody in the chat, everybody who hung out with us and watched this. Thank you so much for just hanging out and being a part of this show. Noel and Kristian, thank you guys for sitting down and talking about G.I. Joe. We love doing it. Before we go, Kristian, tell us where can we find that toy photography you do so well?
You can find me on Instagram under the name Legion Cub.
And Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costume organization, which you mentioned, Ed mentioned earlier that they will be at Joe Fest this year, raising money for a great organization called Canines for Warriors, and going to have some big props there. So that was the tea was kind of spilled on some of the things that are coming up here at Joe Fest on that.
Well, our segments episode will be available next Friday. We will be back live 2 weeks from tonight. And until then, Yo, Joe.
Cool.